Hey everybody, and welcome back to Droobz Vids and another video. In today's video we're going to be taking a closer look at the Kenshin Figma from Rance Quest. So Uesugi Kenshin here from Rance Quest. Now this is actually two things that I am not super familiar with. However, I have heard of Rance Quest, I know of Rance Quest, and I know a few of the characters by how they look, but I'm not going to pretend that I know a whole lot about Rance Quest. So keep that in mind as we go through this review, guys. And if you do know a lot about this particular character or Rance Quest in general, feel free to leave a comment down in the comments below. But please be mindful of others, as Rance Quest is indeed an adult themed anime, if you want to call it that. It started out as a visual novel game, and it kind of progressed from there, ended up with its own little anime, or some people would classify as a hentai. So if you are not 18 years of age or older, do not go look this up, but this figure here doesn't look lewd, so we'll go ahead and review it. And if it turns out that it is, then there will be a warning on your screen. So yeah, hopefully there's no warning, and let's get right into it today. The box art looks fantastic. Roy R from Wisconsin sent this to me, and I've been meaning to open it up, and we are finally here. So let's go ahead and just jump right in and take a look at this figure. And what's interesting is this is also for sale in Japan only, and I have it in my hands, so that's pretty awesome. But from what I understand, this is an older Figma, so I'm not quite sure what to expect in terms of that. But you know, we'll see here. In the bottom of the box, we don't have our little instruction booklet, which is usually there, so I don't think there's actually any instructions at all. Actually there is, it's right in there. So the back of this is actually really cool, the little card insert. You have the big Rance Quest logo there, so that is pretty fantastic. I definitely like that, it's nice. But from what I do know of this particular character is Kenshin here is the most powerful swordswoman in the land of Rance Quest, and I believe that's what actually makes her a very popular character. As you can see here, we have a few swords. We have two long swords and a smaller one here, but I believe that these two are actually the same, and one is just sheathed and the other is not, it's open. So I'm not sure if this sword actually has a particular name or not, but let's go ahead and take a look at them. And this is the sword sheath. That looks actually quite good. And then you have the open blade here, really nice detail, and I think they did a fantastic job with the paint there, especially for it being such an older Figma. Then we have a small little katana blade there, which is a really nice addition as well. And underneath those swords, we have this sword in kind of a action fashion there. So this may be one of her kind of moves there. And yeah, that's actually pretty nice to get you in some dynamic poses there. I definitely like that one too. That's pretty nice. Moving right along here, we have this big old rice cake, and this is awesome. Just take a look at that. That is really cool. I don't actually have anything quite like this in any of my collection, so that's really nice to have. And you know, not only just for this character in general, but if you really wanted to, you could use it on another character too. So that's why I like getting, you know, Figmas and Nendoroids, because you get these little accessories that you could kind of use on other figures as well as the one that it comes with. So that is a pretty cool rice cake there. So let's go ahead and take a look at the figure here, and she's kind of in, you know, this kind of weird outfit here. Not really quite sure what the deal is with this big old helmet. And yeah, let's just take some of this plastic off, and wow, her hair is actually quite soft. That's pretty interesting. I don't know why it's interesting, but it is. And then behind her hair is actually this kind of thing to hold it back there. That's nice to kind of protect all the hair and the sculpt. And of course, with that, we have a ton of little plastic bits everywhere. So nothing under the neck, so we don't really have to decapitate her, but I'll go ahead and remove some of this plastic here real quick for you guys, and we'll get a good look at the figure. Remember, guys, when you're taking apart your figure to remove the plastic and stuff like that, be sure to be careful, because you don't want to break your brand new figure, or, you know, whether it be Figma or not, or an Nendoroid, you just want to be careful because the joints will be a little stiff, and especially something like this that's a little bit older, there goes our hat, will be just that much more fragile. So yeah, just keep that in mind when you are just kind of removing parts and stuff like that on your figures to not break them. I mean, nobody wants to break a brand new figure. All right, so now that we got all the plastic removed, let's take a look at the figure real quick. And this thing looks actually really good, and the paint on it looks fantastic. I mean, Figma's always had good paint, at least the ones I've been getting, but this is a much older one, and I am happy to see that the paint is still fantastic. So just looking at her, this dress here is actually like in a few different parts, so you actually can articulate it quite a bit. So once you start doing some dynamic posing, you could kind of get that dress exactly where you want it at for your poses. Now, taking a look at this helmet, like I said, not quite sure what's up with this long pointy helmet, but the good thing is they actually give you an extra piece for her hair, so you don't have to have the helmet on, and that's probably how I'll be posing this particular Figma because I'm not too fond of this look. But with that being said, this Figma does look fantastic. All the metal parts look really great, metallic, and then her hair is really nice and kind of flowing looking, and these two parts actually articulate a little bit, so you can move those as well when you're doing some dynamic posing to kind of give her some more room and actually look like she's doing some action stuff. I'm going to go ahead and swap this helmet out right now just because it'll be a little bit easier to actually work with the figure. Wow, so that looks much better already. Definitely like that look a lot better. And she has a nice little bow on top there to go along with the little bows on the sides. So aside from the articulation points I've already talked about as far as the hair and dress go, let's look at the rest of it. So at her neck here, you got really good articulation there. You could get her chin to her chest, so that's nice. But when you tilt it back, you don't really have far back to go because of the hair sculpt interfering with that dress there. Now looking at the arms here, your shoulders have a little bit of movement, but she has these little kind of metal shoulder pads there that definitely kind of stop moving it from too high. So keep that in mind if that's something you're looking for as far as posability goes. And then down here at the elbow, you got a nice joint there to get some good range of motion. And then at the wrist, you got a lot of motion as well. So you could see that joint right there. And yeah, you could definitely move that around quite a bit. So that's really nice too. Of course, at the torso, you don't get too much just because of that dress. So, you can move it around a little bit and it'll be a little tough to manage, but if you pose it right, you'll be fine. So just keep that in mind too. And then going down a little bit further at the knees, you do get joints at the knees, which once again, the dress may get in the way, but since this part is split open, you will definitely have an easier time of posing. And then you have articulation at the upper thigh as well. And then all the way down to the ankle, you have good articulation there too, but nothing at the toes like we've seen on some other Figmas. We do have a couple more items to look at, and those are really just these extra faceplates that she comes with. So this other faceplate here kind of has a more serious look, if you would. Maybe one if you're going to be using it for some dynamic posing or fighting scenes. So that's definitely going to be a good faceplate to use, and that looks really nice. And the other faceplate here is kind of an embarrassed look with a little bit of blush there. So that looks really cool. I really like that detail that they added there, that blush look. That's a really nice job on that one. So if you have something embarrassing going on as far as she goes, then there you go. That's the perfect faceplate for that. So other than that, we have our little Figma bag inside for all our accessories, which I really wish they would include in Nendoroids as well. But until that day comes, we use the Figma bags. And then inside this one, we of course have our stand here and our little base for her, as well as a few other hand parts, which are nice because they're all kind of metallic there with that piece of armor on her hand. I really like seeing that they didn't kind of cop out and just give you some generic painted hands. Really nice there. And of course, the one thing that we usually take a look at first is the I guess this is the instruction manual, and there's not much as far as instruction goes, but here you go. Yes, that's just showing you how to change out the helmet and hair, which we've done, and then put the sword onto her hip there. And on the other side, not much, just kind of contents. You get a couple face plates and your hands. Not too much going on here as far as accessories go for this particular Figma. Well, actually there's quite a bit here. So I'm gonna put some of these parts together and put her in a few poses, and I'll see you guys in a bit.
Electricity gonna flow. Let your body move. You go on and make your debut. Now we starting something. Gonna know your name. Nothing that we can do. No more that we can break.
So there you have it, folks. That was the Kenshin Figma from Rance Quest. And what can I say about this Figma? It's pretty cool. Now, you won't come across things in my collection that I know very little about, but this particular figure and source material I didn't know much about, so I tried my best. And if I missed anything, guys, names of swords, or you know, the reason the armor is the way it is, please let me know down in the comments below if you do know. And my apologies if I messed any of that up. But all that aside, this Figma is fantastic, and it being such an older Figma, like, I'm still blown away by the quality and craftsmanship of it. I think it's just fantastic. I think they did a great job on the paint. The joints feel really great even though they're old. And some of you may be wondering how old this Figma actually is. Well, this is Figma number 127, and the most recent Figma I bought is the Darkness Figma from Konosuba, and that's Figma number 450. So quite a big gap in numbers there and years between the two Figmas. So yeah, this one is just as good as any other Figma I've unboxed. Fantastic little figure. But you know, at the end of the day, there's just some things that I don't know very much about, and I think that's okay. So an awesome Figma to add to the collection with a little bit of mystery around it. Pretty dope. Let me know down in the comments below how you felt about this Figma. Yeah guys, that's gonna wrap it up for this video. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up. If you want some more content, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you on the next video.